Okay, so today I'm going to be just doing a quick little video on how to mix super tight metal guitars for like Djent and Metalcore. So main reason I really wanted to kind of do this video just to put it out is because I struggled with this same thing, and I feel like if I had seen a video that kind of had this exact type of stuff in it, it would have really saved me some time and I wouldn't have had to spend months trying to figure it out on my own. But anyways, I feel like guitar is one of the easier things to try to like mix or at least get to sound good. But in terms of trying to get it to fit into a mix and then um, not stand out too much or too little against the other instruments, and just things that you notice when you start developing your ear for mixing, um, it's really hard to try to get it as perfect as you can. So for my guitars, I am using the TSC X50 plugin. It's basically a 5150 block letter emulation. That's like my favorite amp. Um, I just have a overdrive on, and the main reason is because I pretty much edited all the guitars and cut out all the empty noise, so there's no amp noise. And here are my settings here. Mid's cranked up because I mean, this is really just preference. This isn't really like something you can like you have to do or it's not gonna sound good. But if you would like to just use it as a starting point, feel free to do so. Power amps, I just have the EL34s on. My cab, I have a classic SM57 and a Rib 260. And that's about it for the tone. So this tone alone sounds good. I'm going to go ahead and mute the guitar master so it's just the amp. So nice and thick and just super heavy and tight. Um, when going for a super tight sound, making sure that you have a tight noise suppressor on, or doing what I did and just bouncing out like an edited file of the guitar with no ringing or whatever from like muting the strings. That also works too. So now I'm gonna start showing you guys the mastering chain. This is where it really gets to um tightening up the guitars, and it's past the tone point. Now you're actually in the mixing stage. So here I have a subtractive EQ. This is probably the biggest thing that you can do for yourself, is starting with subtractive EQ before you start adding frequencies. That's a very common sense thing, but a lot of people starting off don't really know that, me included. So I had to learn this through just trial and error and just learning different things along the way. Um, so this is a pretty basic thing to do when EQing guitars here, doing a high pass. About like I would say 80 to 90-ish. It really just depends. You kind of just have to listen, but it just takes out some low rumble here, so I'll solo it out. That will really mess up your low end. Low end is super tricky to get nailed in any mix, but particularly metal when a lot of it can build up at once with the kick and the bass. Right here is like a low mid kind of pocket I didn't like. Here's some 1K problems that I heard with the particular cabs. Um, this is also a really crucial thing that you almost always need to do. I feel like this is probably one of the things that you guarantee need to do along with high and low passing. Getting rid of harsh frequencies in the 2 to 4K range, because this is where the human ear is more sensitive than any other frequency to. So you can hear that annoying ring. No one wants to hear that, and it also builds up ear fatigue, which will tire out your ears and just make everything sound really bad. And then here's the low pass here. Oh, I didn't loop it. 1 second. So you can adjust that to taste how much of that high end fizz you want. For this, I'm trying to go for a little bit of like a mid-focused guitar, because I was going for a little bit more of like a Djent sound than something else. So you can just adjust that to taste. But once you're done with your subtractive EQ, you can do some additive EQ here. I didn't really do too much. Well, I also did a little bit of subtractive too, but um, the main thing I added was the 6K and 160, which just kind of boosted the low and high end of the guitar. So you can hear as I was switching it on and off, it really did focus the tone a lot more, and that's mostly because of this uh, 570 hertz cut I did. I took about 1.6 decibels off of that, pushed up a little bit with the 6K boost, and did a 1.5 160 hertz boost. So things like that, just kind of mess around with the frequencies. I also really like this on guitars, the SSL channel. I recommend buying that off Waves. It's like $35 or something, and you can really use it on literally anything, and it adds a really nice flavor with all the EQ curves. And right here I got a limiter. I'm using FabFilter Pro L2. You can use any limiter, but this was just to kind of get some more natural loudness as I'm using the preset, you can see. And I just kind of wanted to make sure that the transients and everything was just evened out. This isn't super crucial, but it's really it does a lot of loudness fixing to the guitars. I can hear it just kind of bumped it up a little bit without getting it too out of control. And lastly, this is also a really common thing to do. Use a multiband compressor on the guitars. I kept mine pretty simple because I'm honestly still trying to learn the multiband compressor. But the one main thing that's super important is putting a band on the low end. I think 60 hertz is a really common area. I just did 75 just to try it out, and I think that it works pretty well. This is like a super old trick from like back in the Andy Sneap forum days. And I know Joey Sturgis also popularized this back in the like early 2010s. It's basically just like a safety net for the low end buildup. When there's a lot of rumble going on in the guitars, it doesn't cluster it with like the bass and the kicks. So it kind of just catches it and lowers it so that they still have room to go. And for like breakdowns and stuff like this, it can build up a lot of low end with the chugs. So you want to put something like this here to kind of catch it, and I'll show you what it sounds like. As you can hear, it gets a little bit more breathing room, the kick does. And yeah, so that was a pretty simple tutorial on just mixing guitars. That's kind of my pretty standard mixing chain or plug-in chain, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, so a lot of this you can just kind of mimic a little bit of what I do, but really it's just about finding the settings for the context of the music that you're using. A lot of this can be applied to just general metal music and hard rock and stuff like that. But yeah, so this was just like a pretty basic tutorial on different chains and just plugins that you would want to use in your guitar mixing, just to kind of give you a little head start on how to mix your guitars. And if you guys have any questions or want to provide some feedback, that's always welcome too. You can go ahead and leave that in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.